Oh, here we go, into YouTuber mode. It's really weird doing it with you listening. Today we are going to take George's bike for a bit of a ride. It's a Tiger 900 Rally Pro 2021 plate. Being a Rally Pro, it's got everything on it, including that sexual thing there. And that is George.
Hey everyone.
This is quite an event for me because George is going to take my bike out, which means
I'll try and survive.
Try to survive, yeah. Good luck. I've turned all the traction control on. Although it is George's bike, if there's something wrong with it or I don't like it, I will mug it off.
Well, that's the thing. I'd much rather you be honest about my bike and tell me what you think of it purely as a bike rather than mine.
I like mugging them off anyway, so if I think there's something not right about it or I don't like, I will happily tell you.
But there was a reason why I went for the Tiger 900 over the 890 Adventure. Because he couldn't have me having a 1290 and him having an 890. So this bike is obviously a direct competitor for the KTM 890 Adventure, the BMW GS 850, which we have both ridden, and also I suppose you could put into the same category the V-Strom 650 and all those lot. I mean, you got the Teneray as well.
Yep, Teneray 700 and all those kind of bikes. But this bike is, I personally would say, this bike, the 890 Adventure and the 850 Adventure from BMW, are a level above the Teneray 700, just because of all the tech and everything you get with it. Being the Rally Pro as standard, this comes with the dick lights or fog lights, whatever you want to call them. It's LED indicators all round. So it's got the manual shower suspension, comes with the crash bars and heated seats and everything. It's got a 7-inch TFT display, so it's pretty well kitted out. George, do you mind me asking what you paid for this on the road with the optional Arai can?
I think it was about 14.4.
14.4. So, considering my bike, technically on the road as it is probably just over 17 grand, you've saved quite a bit of money, and you get the heated seats and everything as standard. So let's get on it. Please don't crash my bike, George. Jesus, that's high. Just, oh, my bike sounds so good.
Your bike sounds so good.
So just a point before we get started on this, George has had the suspension pumped up, so it's a little bit soft out of factory. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, the front did dive quite a lot under heavy braking, but I think it's the front and the rear now is as stiff as it can go. Yeah,
so obviously that's going to pump the bike up a bit. Being 5'9"-ish, just over 5'9", I'm on my tiptoes. So I mean, it still sounds really nice. First thing I've noticed, you are getting quite a lot of wind blast off this screen. You're not getting much clean air, are you? I mean, it's clean air, it's just not very...
Yeah, I mean, there's a massive difference between riding my bike and riding this already, with the extra wing screen you've got on the top of this.
This is an adjustable screen, but the wind is hitting my helmet. This quick shifter is buttery smooth. That is so smooth. The bars are a little bit of a reach for me, probably because this bike's set up for your ergonomics. George is about, what are you, 6'1"?
Yeah, just about.
Can you flat foot this?
Yeah. I've also got the seat on the highest setting as well.
Right, okay, that's good to know. My dad has got this exact same bike and he is a little bit shorter than me, so I think he's about 5'8", and he can get his feet down on it, so again, it's just an adjustment thing.
I will definitely say something about this bike compared to mine, is I feel like enclosed by this bike.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It sort of feels like I'm sitting on top of this.
Well, I'm sitting in this.
Yeah. I have to say, the one thing I'm very jealous of is how smooth this is. Yeah, even like when you're out of peak rev range, the quick shift is really smooth.
It is delicious on the way down as well. Yeah. Even when you switch down at high revs,
it's just so smooth.
And it's so smooth.
This is it's a very easy bike to ride, isn't it? Oi, brakes are very good. Low end, this sounds like it's a twin, and then as soon as you get in the rev range, it starts sounding like the triple again, which is actually quite nice. It almost feels like you're riding two different bikes, but it is as smooth as a triple.
Oh, dear me. Like, I loved this bike for you anyway, but it was definitely missing that exhaust.
Yeah,
this is outrageous.
Oh, the burbles coming from yours though when you roll off. Oh my god, my bike sounds so good.
This is where you spend the whole ride forgetting about the bike you're riding and just listening to your own.
So one of the things that is maybe not so good on this bike, I mean, it's a fantastic TFT, but I think some of the features might need tweaking a little bit. So for example, to change into an off-road rider mode on my bike, you can just change on the fly. I mean, the most you have to do is shut the throttle, whereas on this, to turn the traction control off, for example, you have to completely stop the bike, be out of gear, etc. So I mean, it's not the end of the world, and most of the time you will stop anyway, but it's just, oh, that burble from your exhaust. Stops mid-sentence. What's this got then? It's got,
so you've got road, rain, sport, off-road, off-road pro, and the custom rider, so 6 rider modes.
I mean, I think on mine I've got road, rain, sport and rally.
With that, the fact that it's got the 2 off-road modes, that's quite nice, because obviously I'm not that seasoned when it comes to off-road riding, so having the standard off-road mode is great. And then it obviously gives me a chance to build up to the off-road pro, because the standard off-road keeps the traction control on the front discs.
Right, and then I assume off-road pro takes
everything off.
Fine. It doesn't have like a slip control or anything like that, but no. It has like it's got the off-road traction control, off-road ABS and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Just leaning it in there, it's very easy to throw in. Like it feels very light when you're like riding it, which I really like.
Considering it is a taller bike, and now I've sat on this for, you know, more than a couple of seconds, it's significantly taller. If you actually try and throw it left and right, the front end really does come up and down, and it wants to move.
You know when you see the American police rider training where they flick left and right around all the cones?
Oh, when they're on those Harleys that are about
huge
3
bikes, yeah. I feel like this would be incredibly easy to do that on, because just look how flickable it is. It's so easy to change direction, which is really nice. Oh, the pops! So what was I saying? I keep getting massively sidetracked. The only other negative, Triumph has said that it's going to be due to an update, but connecting your phone to the TFT to get all your turn-by-turn navigation and all those sort of things. I think, is it phone dependent, George?
Yeah, what they regretted to tell me when I was buying the bike is that if you check the website, it will tell you the phone compatibility for my Triumph and the TFT connectivity.
Right.
I think they're obviously trying to update it as much as they can when they can for newer phones, etc, etc. But that's one thing that has annoyed me, is that I haven't been able to connect my phone to the TFT to answer my calls, to change my music, to get the GPS.
Which is really irritating, let's be honest. Like, you buy a bike that's got TFT and it's sold as this compatibility to have your phone through the screen, all that kind of stuff. It's just a little bit annoying. And then when we were chatting to, there's a guy that we know through Instagram who's got a Speed Triple, one of the new Speed Triple RS's, and he has said exactly the same thing with his, is he couldn't connect his phone to the bike. So maybe that's something Triumph need to work on. I mean, if in fairness to them, well, we get a new set of phones every year, but your phone's not exactly new, is it? It's like a couple-of-year-old phone?
Yeah, it's an old Galaxy S10, so you'd think that they'd be able to link up their technology with a phone that's 3 years old, 4 years old.
So that's a bit of a shame, but it just means you're going to have to buy yourself a Garmin like I've got. Oh, yeah. Do you know what? It really holds the corners well.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do this, sorry.
Right, let's see if I can keep up with you. I mean, considering my bike has theoretically, got 65, 70 more horsepower? What's this? It's 95 horsepower, isn't it?
I want to say 96, just because every horsepower counts. Ask my missus.
So what? Let's call it 96, just for George's sake. 96 inches. I mean, brake horsepower. And considering mine's got 160, it does keep up quite well in the lower sort of revs. Is there anything I can actually mug off on this bike? I'm trying to sit here thinking I've been way too nice about this bike so far. Yeah, it's got a real nice growl to it when you accelerate this.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, you're talking about the horsepower of that compared to this. I mean, we've tested it, and I will keep up with you until the end of third gear, and then you really do pull away. That's where the difference comes in. By the time you get to the end of third gear, you're at the speed limit and cruising nicely.
Yeah, definitely not going
officer.
over definitely not going over the speed limit, are you, sir?
If you're doing about 22 mile an hour in fourth gear.
22, right. So this is something that comes with the exhaust, so proper low end in the revs, and then you get that. That sounds really nice. Yeah, just coming out those corners. So apart from adding maybe a clip on screen, dropping the seat to the short arse height, tilting the bars, maybe some bar rise or something like that, like that's it. And I mean, I've done all of that on my bike. I don't know whether you've noticed this as well, but I'm getting a slightly warm right leg.
Yeah, you do feel the off the radiator. It does channel quite nicely onto your legs. It's fine in weather like this, but you can notice it in the summer.
I think my leg is touching the actual engine casing on the right leg. So I don't know.
It could be a height thing.
Yeah. Shut up. So it might be the fact that, well, I'm wearing summer boots and riding jeans.
I tell you, your seat is a lot harder than mine.
That's the ergo seat as well.
Really?
Yeah.
There's not much ergonomics about this.
Yeah, to be fair, the seat on this feels hard, but it's very plush. Oh, my Denali's look so good in the reflection. Let me just pull over here. I'll pull up the hill. Right, off-road pro rider. Do I have to do anything to
press it in? So click it in with the thumbstick. Yeah, and then it should see at the bottom, and there'll be a little guy in a helmet in the bottom middle of the TFT.
Yep. And then it's got a big logo that says TC disabled and whatever.
Yeah, there's about 5 or 6 different warnings on the dash that tell you you've got your traction control off. That's one thing that does annoy me, actually, is that if there was just the one button that says your traction control's off, that would be great. But it seems to want to warn you about everything.
So you've got TC off on the left, you've got TC off on the screen, warning triangle.
Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a bit frustrating though, because they've got the semi-active suspension on the GT and the GT Pro.
Yeah, so it'd be nice even if it was just an option on this. It'd be nice. But then I suppose it's the same thing with that. With the Super Adventure R, it's a manual suspension. There's no option for semi-active, which is like, yes, okay, if you're absolutely some kind of off-road god, then yes, you want manual suspension to set up properly. However, who is going to be taking a 220 to 250 kilo bike hardcore off-roading? Yeah, apart from me, yeah. Not hardcore off-roading. I can't do hardcore. We dropped it yesterday. If I said to you, would you pay $1,000 to get semi-active suspension on this?
I most likely would say yes.
Yeah, I suppose you wouldn't, like, it doesn't need it, and because the suspension is more than capable.
But that's just me wanting toys. When it comes down to actually riding the bike, it's really not needed.
I know you're debating the 1200, considering my dad's just bought one. So it will be very interesting to see how the new 1200 fares compared to this, because in my opinion, this 900 was a massive step up from the 800.
The thing is, there's going to have to be a massive difference between the 900 and 1200 to justify the extra money.
By the time you've probably spec'd up the 1200 Rally Pro to be, say, this spec or like my spec, you're going to be over 17 grand, which I suppose is bang on the money for what it's competing against. But is it worth buying a 1200 over a 900?
The only difference will be the speed and how efficient it is at putting it down.
Yeah, but then also, like you said earlier, with mine, you normally keep up with me till third gear because I'm struggling to put the power down. The noise this thing is it's that is the noise, the low end kind of grunt. Sorry, I'm abusing your bike. Well, I'm saying this, but as soon as that 1200 comes out, we're both going to be sitting there going, George, you should buy the 1200.
Purely because it's a bigger number than 9.
That's all it takes, is it's bigger than 9, so it must be better.
Yeah, I think that's probably why we both struggle financially at the moment.
This is why we never have any money. Yeah, it's just got loads.
Oh god, this exhaust, man. Do you know what this feels like? You know when you go to like a really run-down seaside town and they've got an amusement park and you see those dodgy looking roller coasters and you think that's not going to be fun. You think that's going to scare the shit out of me. And then you think, yeah, okay, I'll pay the money to go on it. But because it's a dodgy English fairground ride, you'll still pay like £8 for one go. So
so basically, what
you're
saying my bike is a dodgy amusement park that's not been bolted together properly, might fall apart at any time, scares the living daylights out of you,
but it's the best thing,
and is expensive as hell.
But when you get on it, you absolutely shit yourself because the speed is incredible.
I really wondered where you were going with that. I was like, are you going to call my bike a cheap amusement park?
No, but it's a good thing. If you think that really shouldn't work, but it does, you know?
This does look like very aesthetically pleasing, doesn't it? It's such, and I think, to be fair, I think this looks a lot better than the 1200 as well. I'm waiting for that. I was literally waiting for that.
It is quintessential triumph. That's exactly what that is.
This bike, yeah, it literally is, isn't it? It hasn't got that complete ASBO knob factor that mine's got. But then I don't think you'll ever get that, and it's the same thing. Like we were going to touch on the 890 Adventure and 850 GS. The GS was really good, but it just felt really top heavy.
The GS as well was almost perfect, and I think that's its problem.
Yeah, like there's no fun factor to it. But then that's the same thing I said with both the XR, the R, and the GS. Like they're all fantastic bikes, but they're just I don't know, they just leave you a little bit numb afterwards, in my own opinion anyway, before people start kicking off in the comments. The 890 Adventure from KTM was the only other bike you were actually seriously contemplating. Yeah,
it was like this, but you know, with not as much steroids in it. Almost as ASBO as this, but obviously with not as much power. But to me, because I rode the 890 Adventure and the Adventure R, I would have had to get the Adventure R for the height of the bike.
Yeah.
But the Adventure R was too much like a crosser, and
yeah,
that is not the bike I wanted.
So like perfect for if you're doing a lot of green laning and off-roading and stuff like that.
Exactly. But then if I was doing that, I'd rather buy a CRF.
Like, and also this is the other thing my dad said when he bought his. He rode the GT Pro and just thought it was a very okay bike. There was no interest in it, didn't really enjoy riding it, whereas he rode the Rally Pro and found it a much better experience. Maybe not when you're carving up a track, but let's be honest, who's taking one of these on a track?
And that's the thing, for me, the Tiger fits exactly what I want for a bike. It can do everything I want it to do, and it's still got the power, the grunt, the looks.
So are we saying, I know this is a very biased view, but are we saying this Tiger 900 is the best middleweight adventure bike on the market?
I personally think it is, and I've watched enough of other people's YouTube reviews and the comparisons between them. Even when other people have chosen other bikes like the 890, they've chosen bikes like that with biases.
Like they're trying to go off-road and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. Like the 890 would be an amazing bike if you're doing a lot of green lane stuff like Lel Pavey does in Wales, where you're just sending it down a green lane that's actually probably more versed towards a full off-road motocross bike. Anyway, I think that's it. We've sort of gushed about this bike a bit too much. I kind of want to get back on mine because I think you're having too much fun that you're going to end up buying a Tiger 1200 and then I'm going to be stuck.
No, yeah. I do want to get back on my baby.
Yeah, my baby.
Thanks for letting me be a part of the video, and I hope you enjoyed the bike. I'm sure we'll do plenty more.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I think as much as I mug you off and I take the piss out of you for having a lesser powered bike, it's such a good bit of kit, and I can completely see why you bought it.
Like and subscribe and ring that bell.
Fucking, I knew that was coming. George and I are going away next week, and then we're going away again in June. So you will hopefully, unless we fall out and something goes majorly wrong, you will probably see a bit more of George on the channel, so let me know if you think he's a bit of a twat. And I will see you in next week's video.